my story is so special. Why would I share it, right? But the thing is, you feel that way because you're living in it.
Yeah.
But for somebody else, you might inspire someone else. You might give somebody else an idea. And you know what? They love watching that journey.
Hello there, and welcome back to the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. I'm your host, Sam Hind, and here's a quick question for you. Have you ever had a dream or something that you wanted to accomplish? Maybe a vision and you could see an opportunity, a way that you might have been able to have an impact or something huge that you wanted to do or achieve. But as soon as you started to think about the details and what it would take for you to take a step forward, let alone to achieve that dream, it becomes so overwhelming that you stop dead in your tracks and you don't take any more steps forward. Well, you wouldn't be alone. There are so many people, myself included, who have been in exactly that position. But then there are the select few out there who keep moving forward and simplify what seems incredibly complicated and overwhelming and do some unbelievable things. This next guest I get the honor and privilege of introducing you to is exactly one of those people. She has inspired me, and I know inspires people every single day with what she's accomplished, and she's only just got started. Today, I get to introduce you to Gaya Samarasingha, who is the founder of Kalaia products. Her story around what she's created, why she's created it, and where it's come from is nothing short of amazing. I have absolutely loved getting to know her and her story, but more to the point, she is as passionate about the direct selling industry as you and I, and she has got a vision to give it a new lease of life. She inspires women every single day and on her own has taken what to some people would seem like an impossible mammoth effort. She has started her very own direct selling business, solving a problem for women all over the globe. It is my honor today to be able to share with you this interview with this amazing woman. And I hope you come out the other side feeling as inspired and refreshed about this industry as I did coming out of my conversation with her. So with no further ado, grab yourself a cup of tea or coffee, sit back, relax, and listen on in to the amazing conversation I got to have with the incredible Gaya. Enjoy. Well, hello there and welcome back into the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. I'm your host, Sam Hind, and today I am joined by an amazing guest. I am very, very honored to have Gaya Samarasingha with us. Welcome on in and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Sam.
I'm so excited for this chat, Gaya. We had the opportunity to talk in person just a couple of weeks ago while we were in Utah, and I got to hear firsthand all about your incredible journey in your business with the incredible Kalaia products. And I'm excited for you today to share that journey with us. But I know along the way, you also have got a really unique view both on the direct selling industry and business in general. And so I know that our listeners are going to get so much value out of this chat that we're going to have. But first, I want to hear a little bit about you. Tell our audience a bit about who you are and what's brought you to where you are today before we get into the incredible business that you've built.
Oh, thank you. Thanks again for having me. Yeah, so I'm originally from Sri Lanka. I came here to the United States almost 20 years ago with 2 suitcases, few $100, and love of my life. Right out of high school, came here to go to college. So here we are 20 years later, still here in Utah. And most of my career post-graduation has been in the direct selling industry. It was actually accidental how we came across the direct selling industry. I don't think I shared with you that story, but pretty much, long story short, after we graduated, we lost everything during last recession and was living in a car until some of our friends brought us into their house, welcomed us into their house until we figured out what to do, and we were given 60 days to find a job or leave the country. And that's when we happened to get introduced to someone in the direct selling space. And he was a gentleman who worked at one of the companies. And after hearing our sob story, he said, "You know what? I don't know you two, but I have this gut feeling you will do something great in this country. So I'm going to find you a job." And that's how we got exposed to direct sales. And ever since then, built my career in the direct sales space. In about 7 years ago, left my job to start my own. So here I am today.
That's amazing. Actually, we didn't get to talk about that. And it was one of my questions today. In fact, it was the first question, which was, what has made you so passionate about the direct selling industry? And that's certainly a good reason to be pretty passionate about it.
Yeah, and I think I resonate the industry with my personal story so much because he opened a door. He gave us an opportunity. It wasn't a handout, but it was an opportunity to work hard and create the life that you want.
Yep.
And that's exactly what we do in this industry. You give somebody who comes from any background, any education, any experience, it doesn't matter your past. We give people an opportunity and open a door and say, go create the future you want, right? That might be a few $100s extra. That might be 6, 7 figures extra, right? It doesn't matter. And you have full control to do that. And I resonate with that so much. And that's why I love this industry.
Yeah. Do you know, it's one of the reasons I love this industry too. And that story is just such a good reminder for everybody that, there, unlike so many different industries that are out there and career paths that you can go on, this is the only industry that you can come into with no experience. It doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter what culture you come from. It doesn't matter where you live. You can make the business that suits you out of whatever you have. And, I feel like everyone can belong here, and that's what's just so beautiful about it. It can be as little or as big as you want. And on top of that, there's so many incredible companies. You can find something you can be passionate about and have no overhead. And that's such I think people really underestimate just how amazing that is. If you start a business in any other industry, you've got, tens of, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars of outlay before you even get started. And it can be years and years before you make any money. Whereas in this industry, you can be making money tomorrow doing something you love with products that you're passionate about. And I just think that is so special.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And by no means it's easy to build a successful business in this space, right? We all know. And I have such an admiration and appreciation for the work that anyone who's in the field does. But like you said, just the barrier to entry is so low.
Yeah.
And anybody, it doesn't matter where you come from, your past doesn't really matter, and nobody's going to tell you no, right? If you go sign up with a company, nobody's going to tell you no, you don't belong here.
Well, I sure hope not. And you just said something else really important there, and I just want to touch on this for a second. I think there's a little bit of an assumption that people see this industry as kind of the get rich quick scheme, which gives it a bit of a bad name because there's a missed. I think the opinion that people have of this industry can sometimes be a bit skewed, and I want to touch on what you said, which is it's by no means easy. It does still take hard work like any business would. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It's like you said, low barrier entry. So it's an opportunity unlike any other, but you still have to put that work in, right?
Yeah. And as a business owner, it's sharing your passion, sharing a product that you love, and marketing is the most important job that you can do. And you still have to do that. with direct sales, network marketing, right? Name says it. You have to still own it and do it with passion.
Yeah.
But all of that background work in the number one thing that stops most entrepreneurs is the money. They don't have the money, they don't have the resources to figure out all these other boring pieces that's
Yeah.
behind the scenes, right? In with direct sales, that's the beauty. You have
Yeah.
all of that done for you, but you still have to do that front end work of building your own business.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today because you've had firsthand experience in that space. But I'm going to come back a little sec. You know, you were just talking about your experience as you came to Australia and then entered into the direct selling business. What did you study? Because I didn't ask you this question.
I actually studied IT. Um, to be specific, it was my undergraduate degree was in management information systems with a math minor.
Oh my
and,
goodness. So like
and
couldn't have been more left of center to what you're doing now, right?
exactly. But I quickly realized I was not cut out to be in the IT industry. I was the loudest person when I was working in that department, and I was the most friendliest. Let's just, I just loved people. And when I realized that, I knew I had to go back and change my career path quickly. So I went back to school to get my MBA, and then since then, try to find opportunities to learn and grow in this space.
Yep.
So yeah.
And so now you and your amazing husband are both in in the corporate world of direct selling, meaning that you now run your own direct selling company, Kalaia Products. And I want to ask you a little about that in a moment. And your husband, of course, is working for one of the biggest direct selling companies globally as well. So you're both very involved in the industry still in two very different ways, but also two very similar ways, I guess.
Yeah. So we both happen to just get involved in the industry just because of that one very first introduction. And we grew our passion. And we love this space and we relate with it. And I don't know, sometimes it's a bad thing to be in the same space because the work never stops. You bring it
Yeah.
home and it's a conversation around the dinner table. But the people in this space, and the lives that you get to touch and change it's worth it. It really is. And so yes, we've only had one company that we worked together at. Ever since, we've never worked together.
But you've got experience with several different companies in the direct selling space. Can you share with us, sort of where you've come from in the industry and what some of those roles look like so we can sort of get a bit of a picture for where you are now?
Yeah. So my very first experience in the direct sales space was with New Skin. Actually, I did an internship during my MBA with them,
Was this
and
the
that
role that was kind of offered to you at the start? Is that sort of where that came about, or did you have experience prior to that with the industry?
no. So this was after. So when he offered the role, it had to be one of us in order for us to stay in the country and make sure that we get the work permit and the visa sorted out. So it made sense for my husband to get that job. And so because my intention was to go back to school at that time. So he offered, my husband got the job, and then I went back to school. In a year and a half later, I came back and we both actually worked together at that company, which was Monavi. So that was the first job that my husband got. And then obviously I came back to that after my MBA. But during my MBA, I personally had my very first experience with New Skin. And I remember leaving that internship and thinking, I would love to come back and be an executive at a beauty brand like this. And here I am, full circle, years later, having my own skincare brand. But since then, yes. So after graduation, I worked with Monavi, and then Young Living, Jamberry Nails, which was a huge success
Yes.
in
Yep.
Australia.
Hmm.
Yeah, so those were some of the companies that I got to be part of and gain a ton of experience
Yeah.
with. And it was a fantastic journey. And most of that time, I actually did international expansion. So I got to take some of these brands into other markets like
Yeah.
Australia in launch and manage markets in 5 different continents. So it was a great experience.
And this was one of the things I was blown away by, because you had that experience with international expansion, and that was one of the things that you did prior to starting your own company. I then asked you the question, what countries are you currently in? And your answer was, yeah, we're in Australia and we're in New Zealand and we're in Canada and the US. And you were talking about country expansion like it was just this really quick, easy thing, because to you, it actually is a quick and easy thing, which is really amazing, because it's one of those things that holds so many companies back. Yet you have got the ability to be able to move into countries really quickly and easily. And I think that's incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think I look at expansions slightly differently. I like to do it in phases. There's always much leaner ways to do that, and with some of the companies I was with, they were always of the opinion that they needed the big fancy office space and all this stuff before they can launch into a
Yeah.
market. Whereas at Jamberry was one of my very first experiences. Where I tested that theory out. No, we don't. We can do it much leaner, and we did, and it was a huge success when we first launched Australia. That was the very first market that we launched outside of the United States, and we did it
Yeah.
with one person on the ground
Mm.
and with
Yeah.
no office space or anything. But that didn't stop us from growing
Yeah. And
into
that
this
was
massive
like
success.
I remember when Jamberry Nails took off in Australia, and that was huge really quickly.
Yeah, it was. And so I took that same approach and the same learning from some of those companies that I worked for,
Yeah.
where when we looked at expansion for Kalaia, we did it in a much leaner way. And
Mm.
given our products, um, being cosmetics in its topical application, and we've been able to bring those products, they ship those products into the market a little bit easier than if it's a consumable, obviously. But even from a technology standpoint, operations standpoint, I knew how to do it um, in a leaner way to be able to test the market, bring the products, bring the opportunity into the market a lot easier with lot less money
Yeah.
invested, so we could see where it takes, right? Most of the time, especially in our space, direct sales space, they pull you to certain markets, right? Because there's interest, there's requests to go in, and if you can really provide that opportunity when there's that interest, it could be game changing for any brand.
Mm. Yep. Yeah, 100%. And there's something, that sort of strikes me that's so beautiful and poetic, I guess, about the way that you treat international expansion. It's a combination of both thinking bigger but also thinking smaller. In so many cases, I think people don't think big enough, but also they're not thinking small enough. And you make a really good point. Like, you don't need a lot to launch in a new location. Especially in this industry. I mean, we're working in an industry where it is word of mouth and it's human to human, and you don't need these huge office spaces and lots of people on the ground. In fact, now, and I guess we'll get talking about this, even that one person on the ground isn't really needed anymore, is it?
No, and I remember when I first launched Kalaia, people would ask, "Oh, are you getting an office space and this and that?" And there's also a little bit of stigma in the industry, right? If you don't go gum lacing and have all this show, you are not attracting people. And
Yeah.
I remember telling somebody, I said, I am teaching people that they can build a 6, 7 figure income working from home. And what's the shame in me working from home? I have
Yeah, I
no
love that.
shame in telling people I work from home. And I love
Yep.
that.
Yep. I love that. I love the fact that you're saying I practice what I preach. Why on earth do I need to have all of this showy office space, etc. If I'm indicating to people that they can do this from home
Yeah.
with almost nothing to get started, I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk about Kalaia products. We've kind of people are like, what is this? So I love this so much. You came from the experience that you had with the companies that you had, and also a personal experience. Tell us about how Kalaia was born and what it was that inspired you to start your own skincare line.
Yeah, so it kind of started out with this snag that I wanted to obviously start my own business, own brand. That's what led me to quit my job. But then when I took a step back, I was like, okay, now I have this fresh canvas to create whatever I want. It was a time that I was a new mom. I was working, I was busy traveling. I had a lot of skin issues. I was having really severe adult acne and all the skin discoloration that came with it. And obviously, as we, get into our 30s, you start seeing the signs of aging. Nothing has worked. I've tried everything under the sun. Nothing has worked to really help with my skin. So then I realized when I was growing up, I never had skin issues. I never had acne. And I thought, you know what? I have time on my hands. I've never had a time period where I didn't have a job. So it was freeing and I could experiment with things. So I said to myself, I want to go back and try to bring some of these ingredients that we used growing up back into my skincare routine, back into my daily diet, and see if that helped with my skin.
Mhm.
It was just an experiment because I had the time to do it and I was kind of eager to create a product, but I wanted it to be more personal than
Mm.
just getting something off a shelf and labeling it my brand, right? So when I started incorporating these ingredients, doing these DIY things, skincare rituals that we used to do growing up, but I had abandoned them as after I moved to the United States because one, I couldn't find the ingredients that easy. Two, you don't really appreciate when you have things, right? So I'll
Yep.
be one of the first ones to admit that. It's just, you always had that. So um honestly, the changes in my skin was mind blowing. I couldn't
Mhm.
even believe it. So when I realized what ingredients were working, then I went to several different formulators to see if they can help me create a product because what I was doing DIY at home wasn't going to cut it to create a product that I can put up, send
Yeah.
to somebody, sell to somebody. And I was no chemist either. So I didn't know how to formulate something that would last long, that would be effective.
Mhm.
Um, so I probably talked to about 10 different formulators because many of them told me that, oh, with these ingredients, the efficacy that you're looking for is not going to work out. You
Mhm.
just can't practically do it. But I'm like, I know it worked for me. There has to be a way. So after about 8 or 9 people, I happened to meet with this lady that who's a formulator, but they use a lot of these natural ingredients. They work with a lot of organic, natural skincare products. In the minute that I started telling her these ingredients that I wanted to have in my product, and she knew about them, and she had heard of them, and she's experimented with them. So I knew right there that's the right person I was looking for. And so with her that I created 3 products to start with.
Mhm.
And then I wanted to test it out. Yes, it worked for me, but will it work for other people? And I'm South Asian and I have dark skin. Would it work for somebody who's from the United States or somewhere else? So I needed to test it out. So I got a whole bunch of samples made, and I started sending out samples to everybody who was willing to try it and give me feedback, whether it's friends, family, and total strangers who I met on Facebook. So when I started sending these samples out and I started getting feedback, oh, my acne is healing. And I had a friend of mine that who refused to try the product because she's allergic to anything and everything. But I still gave her the products and said, if it doesn't work out, just throw it in the trash. And she called me 2 weeks later. She's like, what do you have in this thing? Because not only I didn't break out, but my lines and wrinkles are fading. My skin is glowing. And I have people just text me saying, my coworkers are asking if I'm pregnant because my skin is glowing.
Oh my goodness.
So that's how
Possibly
it
a negative
started.
side effect. Yeah.
That's how it started when I started seeing these results coming in before and after showing up in my inbox. I knew I was onto something. I knew I had something that was worth bringing to the market. So we launched with 3 products because I was self-funded. I didn't have a lot of money to spend, and we bootstrapped it. And that's a whole nother story. But yeah, so that's just how Kalaia was born, and how I came about the products.
I want to come back a step because I was really fascinated about the actual ingredients themselves. There were a couple of key ingredients. Now, I don't know if you were just telling me this, but I'm assuming because they're written on the. And by the way, like you gifted me some of your products to take back, and they are absolutely gorgeous. But the packaging is just so beautiful. But you do talk about some of those ingredients on the packaging. I noticed, because having a really good read about it, and you were talking to me about this. Some of those ingredients were ingredients that your mother and your grandmother used to both use topically, but also feed you as a kid. And you were just saying you don't appreciate them when you were a kid because you hated them. But can you just repeat what some of those ingredients were, and how they were used as a child, and what it was that twigged for you to go, hang on a second, this is something that needs to be in a skincare product today?
Yeah. So, I mean, turmeric is one of those that we use in everything that we cook, but also on our skin, whether it's turmeric DIY masks at home, or whether it is turmeric infused soaps that we use. Turmeric goes in everything. And then gotu-kola is another one. It's a leaf. It's a leaf. We used to eat salad, gotu-kola salad. I mean, almost literally every other day. And I would bribe my brother to eat my gotu-kola so I can get out of the dinner table. Because he hated it that much. Not that it tasted any like bad or anything. Now I seek out for it and I love it. But just as kids, you just don't like to eat them. But I remember our parents would say, it's good for your hair, good for your brain, good for your eyes, good for your skin. So you have to eat it. But I didn't know what that meant. I mean, obviously they were not sharing scientific proof, and they were told by, their grandmas or parents that it's good. And so they were repeating that. So you think that they're just lying, or they're just saying it so that we would eat it. But now there's scientific proof, there's studies that have been done, and how great gotu-kola is, not just for your skin. It can boost collagen, it can heal your skin, it can give you that smoother texture, but also is really good ingredient. There's a lot of health benefits to it. And then some of the other ingredients like hibiscus, it's a natural source of AHA to gently exfoliate your skin. But my mom would tell us the story of how when we were newborn babies, she would boil hibiscus flowers and let the water cool down and bathe us in that with that hibiscus water to get that. You know how babies have that dry skin layer when they're born, right? After they're born. So just to get rid of that, to reveal that smoother skin, they would bathe us in hibiscus water.
Wow.
And hibiscus is one of the very few natural sources of AHA, and we use that in our exfoliating powder. So there are so many stories like that. The ingredients that we use in our products, we say it's from your kitchen to your vanity, because we have these spices that we use in our products, like cardamom, cloves, ginger, all of those. Still to this day, me and my mom both, we cook with these ingredients because
Yeah.
they're really good for your health, but they also have a lot of good skin benefits.
Yeah, it's amazing. The wisdom of those generations before us. And I love that you've taken that wisdom and gone, it's not that we know better. They knew better. It's about taking what they knew and bringing it into the modern world that we're in now. I think
Yeah.
that's beautiful. What I love is you are all about simplicity, and you're about, you talk about a lean business and how, I think sometimes we think too big when it comes to business. You've gone, you know what? I don't need to have a range of products for youth and for middle age and for aging. These products are good for young and old. And so instead what you've done is you've come up with one range that suits everybody. You've got now, is it 6 products in your entire range now? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
So how does this work? Because, you will hear from most companies will tell you, you must have something for particular different age groups, skin types, combination, oily, dry, all of that. And it can get really confusing, complicated. Different times of the year, you've got to switch products because that's what they say you're going to do. I love the fact that you've gone, no, you don't. And it doesn't have to be hard. And you can use 3 products a day and get the benefit from that. You are battling against, I think, a lot of teaching around skincare that has gone on for decades and decades that is quite complex, really, that if you don't have an 8 or 9 step skincare routine, that you're doing bad things for your skin. How are you going with marketing this? You don't need all of that. You just need this. Has that been a challenge for you, or has it actually served you?
It's both, I would say, because it's a challenge because we're wired, right, to think
Yeah.
that you need all of these things. Even before Kalaia, I used to have this 8, 10 step skincare regimen until I had my daughter. Then everything has to go out the window.
As it
You have
does,
no
because
time.
who's got the time for that? I'm lucky if I showered yesterday, let alone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we are wired to think that we need all of these things, right?
Mm.
But our skin is one of, our largest organ. And it's no different than feeding your body with the right nutrients, right food, right? And what our whole philosophy with our product range has been, we improve the overall health and wellness of the skin using these natural, clean ingredients. So your body does what it does best. And all of these things that we see, skin concerns, whether it's lines and wrinkles, whether it's acne, dry skin, dark spots, all of those are symptoms of underlying skin issues, right? For example, you get dry skin, that's most of the time it's because your skin is dehydrated.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have the right moisture, and your skin barrier is damaged. So it's not holding on to that hydration. But if you fix that, your dry skin is going to get fixed. So that's the approach that we're taking. It's like you're eating good, healthy, organic food. You feel good.
Yeah.
You have the energy. You don't have to swallow all those pills, or you don't have the sicknesses. So it's the same thing. So we take that same approach, and that's why it works. Our products work. They're safe to use for younger kids or young adults, because we're not using harsh ingredients like retinol and things like that kids can't use. So we have, my 10-year-old daughter uses some of our products. She may not need a serum and an exfoliator for her young skin, but everybody needs a soap and a moisturizer. So she
Mhm.
uses those two products every single day, and she's been for the last 6 years, right? But then we have older um, uh, customers with aging concerns and aging skin. And they are seeing, because of ingredients like gotu-kola and peptides, that they are seeing their skin start to produce collagen again, right? And so they see their lines and wrinkles reduce. So it's all about feeding your skin with the right ingredients and clean ingredients, so your skin can get healthy, and it will show when it does show when when you start feeding it the right ingredients. So um, it has been a challenge from the standpoint changing people's perspective, but
Mm.
also when you offer a customer who has a really busy lifestyle, most customers don't have the time to go and figure out, how do I pair up
What? Yeah.
all of these products to
Yeah.
create a regimen? They want simplicity in their life. And
Yeah.
most busy women have 5 minutes to wash their face and do whatever it is.
Yeah.
Uh, Even though we would love to have 20, 30 minutes, we don't, right? So when you offer them, here's your 4 products, that's your regimen for the day. And all of those skin concerns that you have will be resolved. And it does work. You have that customer for life. So that's why
Yeah.
it's a little hard sell at the beginning, because you have to change their mindset. But when they do, our retention is really high. I mean, we have 56% return customer rate when the industry
Wow.
average is about 25,
Yeah.
6. So we know when somebody tried the product, they're customer for life. So
Yeah, that's
uh,
amazing.
yeah.
So let's talk, because I want to get to the marketing side of things. You when you kicked this business off, now you talked about the process. You had to get a formulator and create the products, and the process from conception of the idea, which obviously brewed for a while, but from that moment that you went, right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to start this business, through to launch, how long did that take?
Took about when I started formulating the product to actually getting it into the market, about 10 months.
That's crazy. That blows my mind that you did it that fast. Now, I'm going to hazard a guess that is really quick, just for anyone to do, right? Like, you sped that along.
Yeah, I mean, it is a short, I know, but I'm also a very impatient person.
There's positives to that. There are positives to that, guy.
Yeah. And I mean, I had quit my job. This was my full-time
You were like,
project.
I'm in
So
it now. Let's just make this happen.
so,
And
and
no,
also I think I probably fast tracked some of the steps like operations and sourcing
yep,
and things like that, just because of my experience. I
yep,
come from an operations background, and so some of those things were a little bit easier and
easier to do.
faster. I
Mhm.
come from a tech background, so when it comes to
That
going and
IT came in
actually,
handy, right?
yeah, getting things done, I was very hands on. I would go and program things that I needed to, and instead of waiting on people. So
Yep.
so some of those skills actually came in handy.
And so, is there anything that you would do differently now? Like I mean, that was 10 months. Would you have stretched that time out? Would you have changed the way that you did that launch? What maybe did you learn through that process that if you were to do it again, you would do differently in 2024?
I think the marketing side of it is what I would do differently, because I came from the direct sales space, and I also I was an executive at a different company. So out of respect to all the companies that I worked for, I wanted to take a break completely during that process before I came back with my own brand.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I didn't bring any leaders, any connections from any other company that I worked for, just because that's just not the way to do business, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so because of that, I didn't utilize social media as much as I could have.
Yeah.
I could, if I would go back and do it, that's one thing that I think I would do differently, where I would have started to create that community, build that community, um, well before, and share the journey.
Yeah.
Share my journey, because instead of saying I quit my job and 10 months,
And here's
12
the
months
company that,
later,
yeah.
here I
Yeah.
am launching my brand. What happened during that 12
Yeah.
months
This,
would have been incredible value if I had
yeah.
shared all the ups and downs of that
Yeah.
journey every single day as I went through. I went through
And that is
funding. And
such a big point right there is, we all wait for the highlight reel, right? We all wait for the perfect, and we're like, I can't share what happens now because I don't know what's going to happen. I'll wait till I know, and then I'll share the highlight reel of what happened rather than the actual true ups and downs of along the way. And the journey and the storytelling, you see the value of that now. I mean, if you think about this, how much, like, just in the conversation we've had now, you shared some of that story of this is why, this was the generational learning. This is what I went back to, the roots, and I went back to my country where I was brought up, and I found these ingredients, and then I found formulators. And, that story in itself is so much more powerful than, here are 6 products. Here's why you only need a few products to clean your skin. Trust me, I know better. It's not any of that. It's, here's the story and the journey that led to these 6 products being the best way to feed your skin and a great option for you, for anybody when it comes to skincare. And that journey, that story is really powerful. I want to touch on that because we've got a lot of direct sellers that listen to this podcast who often feel like their journey either isn't good enough, no one wants to hear it, or it's not perfect enough, and so they don't share it. And what would you say to those people, given your experience and what you know about this industry?
We all feel that way. I still feel like my story is so special. Why would I share it? Right. But the thing is, you feel that way because you're living in it.
Yep.
But for somebody else, you might inspire someone else. You might give somebody else an idea. And you know what? They love watching that journey. When we have new brand partners and they say, where do I start? What do I do? I say, don't overcomplicate it. You get your products, share the journey. Good, bad, and the ugly. Not just the good parts. Share the good, bad, and the ugly, because we all know if you just share the positives and the glory, it's not real.
Yeah.
Right? People resonate with you on your worst days. And I remember even on my journey, right? I've gotten better at it during COVID. It was really, really hard as a small business that's self-funded.
Yeah.
It was really hard. And one of my posts where that I shared that this sucks. I'm just ready to be done. But here's what's keeping me going, and a conversation with a friend that who literally talked me out off of the ledge was one of the best posts, most engaged posts I've ever had on social media, because people related and they were like, thanks for sharing that, because we all go through that, but we don't talk about it. But when you talk about it, it makes it not only real, but it makes it okay to ask for help, make it okay to say that I had a bad day. And people want to know more. People want to know what's happening. So that's the advice I give to every single new brand partner who come in. I said, you get your products, start sharing how you're putting it on, what's working, what's not working. And who knows, you might go through a detoxing phase and your skin get worse before it get better. Share that. And that's okay.
Yeah. It's the honesty, right? And at the end of the day, people are more likely to trust someone who's had an honest journey where they have shared the
Mhm.
downs. And this is
Uh-huh.
the thing. When somebody shares what goes wrong, you are more likely to listen when they tell you about what's going right because you know
Exactly.
that it's real.
Yeah.
And this is so important. And I really love that you have built an entire business on this and you're encouraging your distributors to share this honest journey. Not only wait until your skin has cleared up. It's no, tell people about it being a problem and if there's a product that's, maybe making it worse before it makes it better, share that along the way.
Mhm.
It's really just so refreshing, but it really builds on that trust factor. And I think that's just so critically important. And I can tell you there have been so many times along the way where we've seen people that have done this and they grow the biggest businesses because people that come to them know they're going to get honest guidance, honest help, honest support, honest recommendation. Not the next, hey, this is the highlight reel. And everyone always asks the question, what if it doesn't work for me? What if it's not right for me, right? And that includes the business. So it's not
Yeah.
just product related, it's share the ups and downs of the business
Yeah.
journey as well, because we're all going to have it, let's face it.
Yeah.
But you don't want
Yeah.
someone who's questioning, maybe I won't join the business or maybe I won't do this journey because my journey is not going to look as good as that person's. But if you've shared the real, raw, relatable
Uh-huh.
ups and downs, people want to feel like they belong. They want to feel connected. And that's how they do that, right? Is
Yeah.
by seeing that all of us have struggles, not just them.
100%. And one of the biggest disservices we can do for this industry is that showing these stories of overnight success, because we set the wrong expectation, because
Yeah.
we all know nothing is overnight success. You asked me, how did you launch a brand in 10 months? It's not that I came from nothing and did that in 10 months. That was 10 years worth of experience. The relationships and know-hows were used in that 10 months to get my brand launched. But somebody who comes and want to start a skincare brand with no experience, no connection whatsoever, they just have a great idea, it will take them a lot longer because they have to go through that learning curve, right? So
Yeah.
it's the same thing with direct sales. Like when we share these overnight success stories, it really discourages people. And that's one of the reasons that sadly our industry get this bad reputation
Mm.
from a lot of people from outside, because it, we're presenting them this unrealistic
Yeah.
picture, unrealistic dream, and then they fail
Yeah.
because the expectations are too high,
Yeah.
right? Teach somebody to make $100 before telling them in a year you could make 6, 7 figures.
Yeah, that's so true. And it really, you're right. It is what gives this industry such a bad name. But I love that. Now, there is something else I want to touch on, and I feel like we could talk for another day about all of this. But and we literally, when we caught up, when we first met a couple of weeks ago, I looked at my watch after we left. I was like, we just talked for over 2 hours, and it felt like 10 minutes. And I think that's, I loved hearing your story. But in amongst all of that, one of the things that you talked about was your marketing activities now. And when you were talking to me about it, my insides were like fist pumping. I was like, I love this so much. So your focus when you do marketing activities right now, you are very much involved in your marketing personally. And you said this to me, you outsource a lot of what you do to keep the business lean, but the marketing's one thing that you don't outsource. What for you is one of your focuses when it comes to your marketing practices to really serve the audience that you have and help you grow your business?
It is building that relationship and community and nurturing them and adding value.
Mm.
I think it's changed so much compared to the direct sales that we know to where it is now, especially post COVID. There's just a lot of noise and a lot of distractions out there. So how can you stand out
Mm-hmm.
by adding value to people has been a huge focus uh, within our brand. How do we create that community and nurture people? They may not be a customer right now, but by adding value in educating them in really nurturing that relationship, they might become a customer 6 months from now, year
Yeah.
from now. And that's our focus, that long game, and how do we build that relationship. So from a brand standpoint, every communication that we put out, every social media post that we put out is not about buy from us or join our community. It really isn't. I know back in the day it may have worked, but it doesn't work. Whether it's the company or whether it is a distributor doing it,
Mm-hmm.
I tell my brand partners, please do not post saying buy from me or join my
Yeah.
team, or I'm trying to hit a goal, so please help me by making a purchase. Like
Yep.
those days are long gone.
Yep.
They're not doing it for you,
I'm
right?
not even sure they worked back then, just to be fair.
I think the early days of social media, well, there's very
A
less
lot less noise,
competition, probably,
maybe.
right? But
For
like I don't,
just a
I
little
it
window
really
of
doesn't.
time.
It makes me cringe when I see that. So
Mm,
from a brand standpoint, it is whether it is skincare tips, whether it is blog posts that's about, um, nurturing your skin and health. I love cooking personally, so I write a recipe every single week. Personally, write
love
a
it.
recipe or steal some from my mom. But using, how to cook using some of these natural ingredients. Many of them we have in our products, and sometimes they're not.
I
But
love that so
really
much.
unique,
Yeah.
simple recipes that people can
Mhm.
do to, it's all about improving your health and wellness. So
Yeah.
within our brand, within who we are, we really take lot of effort. We make an effort to um, nurture our community that we have and add value to people in
Yeah.
whether they're a customer with us or not. Honestly,
I
if
love
they
it.
are connected with that to us in some form, whether it's through social media, whether we have their email address, they visited our website. That it's all about how do we nurture and build that relationship. How do we get to know each other, right?
Yeah.
If people do business with people, so how do we really connect with them is our biggest focus from a marketing standpoint.
Yeah. I love that so much. And the fact that you're talking about even a website visitor, you recognize that they're not necessarily ready to buy now, but what can I do for them? How do I provide them value? That just, when you said it to me, I was like, I can't believe I didn't even prompt this. It just came out. I'm so excited to hear this because it's so true. And this is what we teach every single day is that concept that, you know what? Provide value, build trust. And the first thing you just said when I asked you this question, you said relationship, build the relationship. And you also made mention you've got over 50% retention or reordering rate as well, which is huge. And it's not by accident. So the fact that you're leading from head office, which isn't really a head office, it's just from top
My
tier because you
basement.
don't have a head office, all the way through to the distributor who's working from home. And it's translatable. It's like, we're not going to do things differently to the way we expect you to do things.
Wow.
I think that's so beautiful and refreshing. And I really applaud you for growing a company that way.
Thank you.
Now, two quick questions. First one, where did the name come from? I need to know where the name came from. I'm really curious.
So it has two Greek words combined. One is Kalan, which is beauty that's more than skin deep, inner beauty of someone, which represents our community.
Mhm.
And Gaia, spelled Gaia, is Mother Earth, which represents our natural ingredients and the
Yeah.
products. So we put them together to come up with the word Kalaia.
I love that. And really want to know, what is your future vision? Where do you see Kalaia going, say, in the next 12 months, 5 years? What's your dream? What's your vision, Gaia?
So next 12 months, I think our focus is how do we continue to pivot, because we've had a lot of pivots since COVID
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of learning that has happened because our industry has changed and we've changed with it. And we're probably one of the very first companies to make changes and pivot and implement some of the things that we've done. And I don't believe that process is completely done. So that's our
Mm-hmm.
focus. Stay on that path and continue to innovate. In We've had a really good growth year last year. So continue that growth in really strengthens in add on to that work that we've done. That's our
Yeah.
short-term goals focus. We want to stay focused and continue to serve the full markets that we are in
Mm-hmm.
and grow in those customer base wise, but also from a brand partner standpoint. In the next 5-10 years, I truly believe our products and our brand has the ability to be $1 billion global brand. And there's a lot of work cut out for us to get there, being a smaller brand still. But that's my big vision. And I expect us to expand outside of skincare at some point, because that's why we call ourselves Kalaia products, not Kalaia skincare, because I
Mm-hmm.
always had the vision of how do we bring this core principle of nurturing our health and wellness of our body, um, using these natural ingredients. And these ingredients have so many more benefits outside of skin, and how can we bring them into other product categories. And so I'm excited about that, but
Yeah.
before we get too distracted with that, we need to stay on course and make sure that we are set up for success in that next phase.
Yep. I love that. And I'm so excited to see where you guys go. I think you've got such a beautiful brand. But it's not the brand and the product that excites me as much as the culture and the philosophy behind it. I love the fact that you are all about value. You're all about bringing in that generational knowledge and saying, we don't know better. We just have different ways of doing things now. And you're bringing that knowledge from your generations before you, and you're bringing it into the modern times that we're in, and you using all of those skills that you have to really let that knowledge shine. I think that's just so beautiful. So, look, there is so much we've talked about today, but I'm going to come back to my 4 favorite questions as we wrap up. And I realize there's actually like a whole nother conversation I want to have with you that we didn't get to have, that was part of my my questioning today. So we might have to come back and do this again, but let me come to these ones quickly. First question is this, and probably one of the favorites of our listeners, and that is, what's your favorite book? We've got a lot of people that love to read or listen to audiobooks to learn and grow. What's your favorite book, Gaia, for us to add to our accelerator book list?
It is Dive Zero by Bill Perkins. Have you ever read it?
No,
Oh,
no.
it's a must read. It's one of those books that you read and you think about it and you use that philosophy or the concept on a daily basis with everything that you do. So it's a must read. I recommend it to everybody.
All right. Well, we'll put that in the show notes. Just really quickly as well, because I'm going to get to the next question. But you did have a very special little opportunity as well, a little offer for any of our listeners that want to check out your amazing products. I'm going to backtrack a second here. Do you want to quickly just share what you talked to me about? Because this is really beautiful and very generous of you. But I'll let you just explain what you talked to me about doing.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to try out our products, I we will offer 30% off so on your first order, and the coupon code will be Oxano VIP.
Oksana
So
VIP. Okay.
yeah, yes, and we ship within the US, Australia, UK, and Canada. So
Yep.
you can purchase the products, and hopefully you will love it.
Amazing. Well, thank you. That is so generous. And I know for those that want to give it a go, I'm sure you guys will love the products. So there's that now. Next question is this. What is your favorite quote?
Once someone told me you have to have thick skin and short memory. to survive in this
Ooh.
industry. But
Yep.
I feel like it's something that you need to have in life in general, especially in
So
this day
thick
and age
skin
of
and a
social
short memory.
media, right?
Yeah.
In
Yep.
there's somebody always looking at you and criticizing you, but
Mhm.
you can't let that noise get to you. So have thick skin and short memory
I
and move
love
past
that.
that.
I love that. So good. So good. And next question, if you could have a superpower, any superpower, what would that be and why?
Grant confidence to people because
Oh, to grant confidence. Ooh.
there are so many amazing talented people out there
Yeah.
that who have great ideas and big goals, but
Mhm.
what's stopping them is their self-confidence for
Yeah.
whatever the reason. Maybe it's something that's somebody told them when they were younger, or maybe it is their skin, right? That's one of the things that I love about our products because it's a boost of confidence when your
Yep.
skin looks good and you can walk out the door without makeup.
Mm.
And it's just if you had confidence to go have that conversation, go ask for that raise, or go do that um, Facebook Live that you have always wanted to do, and you know that's going to make a difference in your business, whatever that might be.
Mm.
It could change. It could change people's lives. So
Yep. I love that. That's beautiful. All right, last one. If you could go back and say one thing to your past self, what would that be?
um what I was thinking, I think I shared with you. So I'm gonna share with you something different. um I think when I was younger, I was never the brightest kid. I was never the, one that who get all these accolades or anything. And those days that I used to think like, I might not amount to anything. And so if I could go back to my past self, younger self, I'd probably say that those ways that we are measured when we are in certain stages of lives is not going to hold up as we get older, right? You're going to
Mm.
have your own standards. You're going to have this opportunity to go do whatever you want to do, and don't be bothered by them. Don't be
Yep.
bothered by them, and your future might be very different. And
Oh,
I
I love that.
barely graduated high school.
Mhm.
Here I am today. And my
Yep.
husband actually
Me
failed
too.
high school.
Yeah.
We talk about it
I hear
all the
you.
time.
I
And here we
hear
are today, right?
you.
And we would have never thought that this is where we would be. It's just believe in yourself that right you what you want to do, where you want to be, and anything is possible.
Yeah, that's so powerful. It's so true, and I'm going to put my hand up and say that was me too. I think that's, I actually had a teacher. One of my teachers contacted me recently, um, who I thought when I was in school, because I think sometimes those stories. You talked about how we measure ourselves or how we're being measured. I think sometimes we don't understand how people are measuring us, because I had one of my teachers reach out to me who I thought I was stupid when I was in school, didn't think I was very smart, wouldn't amount to anything. That person contacted me and said, I've been watching your journey and I'm so proud that you stepped into all that you could be. He said, I knew you were going to be something incredible. And I'm just so glad that you had the courage to step out
Yeah,
and do that. And I just
yeah.
went, whoa, I thought this person thought that I would never amount to anything because
Yeah,
I wasn't passing my exams and my maths and my science and all of that sort of stuff. But I assumed they were measuring me one particular way when in actual fact, I think like what you said, we can't all be measured in the same way because we're all unique and
yeah,
different. And
yeah.
yeah,
And we
so
also have the ability to learn and grow, right? Over the years, we do.
yeah.
And I've had a boss that who told me that I'm not a marketer. And
Is it okay?
right, it's just, and I may not have been then, but doesn't mean that you can't learn, right? So
Oh
it's
yeah.
just, it really is what you really want to be, who
Mm,
you want to become, and you have this inner strength to do it. But
yeah.
sometimes we let the outside noise dictates and
Yeah.
outside standards dictate because we try to fit in.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't matter.
Yeah. So awesome. I love it. Look, Guy, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been so beautiful hearing your story and sharing it with our listeners, and really inspiring, just the fact that things can be so simple and still be so successful. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to join us and share your journey along the way.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, and it's an honor.
Yeah, look, it's been great chatting. And of course, thank you to our amazing listeners for tuning in again today. It's been great having you guys join us on the podcast. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure that you do two things. Share this with somebody who you think needs to hear this message today or can benefit from this message. We're all about growing businesses in the direct selling industry. But also don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss out, of course, on any of our upcoming episodes as well. So thank you again, Gaya, for joining us. Such a pleasure meeting you in person and sharing this story with our listeners. And we look forward to seeing what happens with Kalaia products in the years to come.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye for now. We'll see you again next week. Thank you for joining us in this episode of the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. If you love listening and you found that this was helpful for your direct selling business, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also check out the recommended video that's popped up on your screen right here. I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye for now.